I did watch Lovecraft episode 6. Um, I mean, Carl already kind of talked about one of the most surprising elements. I mean, he didn't really describe it, but so I feel like anybody who watches it will definitely still be surprised in how it kind of shows up. But I watched that episode and then I listened to the podcast and was kind of unpacking some of the heavier themes of the episode, as far as like being someone like different than your parents want you to be, but like at the same time still wanting their love and approval. And it's like, I mean,
Spoiler
I feel like
alert.
a lot of
Yeah.
kids go through that. It's like part of
Yeah.
it is, as far as like talking to the parents, it's like you made me this way. Like the stuff that you taught me and the experiences that you gave me, like created this framework that I've used for everything
My
else
whole
that I
life.
feel to the world through.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, how can you be upset that I am the way that I am?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it
This
happens.
is you.
Parents, right? This is a reflection of you. This is a reflection of your
Right.
parenting.
It
Um,
is.
Or lack thereof.
or lack thereof. And then what else? They were
Some
talking about
people are
on the
just,
podcast about. Oh my bad. What were you saying, AJ? I
no,
couldn't
no,
hear
you
you.
good, you good. I was just saying, not always. Some kids are they're themselves. You
I
can't
mean, that's very true.
parent
That's
them, you
very
can't
true.
parent them left or right. You just gotta kind of hope that they have some kind of rudder that they can
But even
guide
in
themselves.
that sense, those children are choosing. So, like, say in the extreme, the ones who go and veer, like, if you have a very Christian family, and then like that person goes completely left and goes Satanist, it was their ultimate decision to go against what their parents, taught them. Instead of using their framework, they decided to use what they believed was a better framework. So, yes,
Well,
in
I
that
mean, yeah,
situation, that fucked upness is not necessarily the parent's choice; it's more the child's choice. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying it's just like uh, not everybody is uh, not everybody is someone who can be influenced, right? So
true.
even if
Yeah,
like some people aren't able to be influenced, they're very self-sufficient, and so they're even if they go against their parents, it's like you could be the best parent ever and still raise a serial killer. That's not your fault because they're
I
a
mean,
serial
true.
killer.
yeah, that's something
Ah,
different
okay, I
because
see
that's
your point.
that's a brain thing. That's not really a
Right,
nurture thing. That's a nature thing. And but
right.
I hear what you're saying, and I definitely feel like after a certain point, people not after a certain point, but like kids become their own people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's very much dependent on like what like the kind of people they see as possible. Like when we were talking about going back to kind of what I said about Bennett and Amelia and their relationship kind of subverting traditional gender norms and stuff like that, whereas like he wants to stay home and take care of the kids cuz and I was that's something that I noticed and I like cuz it's like as a society and definitely as men we don't see that type of thing like in our fathers and our uncles, and so it's not something that we end up like it's something you end up learning on your own if you're interested in being that kind of person. Which brings me to my next point that they brought up was about like tender friendships, like the way she was with her friend that ended up getting captured, I guess I'll say. Like I feel like we're not like as people ever really taught, especially as black people, like we grow up with friends and we roast and shit like that. We're never really modeled
Sincere.
or taught, not I mean not even sincere, but like softness
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like this is something
Yeah.
exact like it's something that you can cultivate. It's definitely something you can learn later if you want,
Yeah.
and it's something that
I
I've
didn't.
definitely tried to cultivate with my friends, like telling them I love them and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
But it's not something our parents, our grandparents really
Do.
modeled.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 That's
Nah,
Mm,
true.
that's
I guess.
I didn't actually have those type of relationships. Like when I think about like all my friendships like from middle school, high school, like we never talked about like what we were going through like
Ever.
emotionally. Like there was always just there's always surface level. It was either about girls, sports,
Yeah.
games, whatever, like just like surface level stuff. And it wasn't until college where we actually like when I met friends down there where we actually started having these conversations about like yo like how are you doing like how are you doing mentally, like never had those conversations until I got older, and even then it was just like I was like, damn, like I wish I would have like had these conversations in high school, and because there was a lot of shit that everybody
Yeah.
was going through at that time, like
Especially
just
in high school, those conversations are probably
yeah,
more needed than anywhere else because in college you're at least somewhat of a normal adult, trying to become a normal adult. In high
Right.
school, you're all types of fucked up, and
duh.
so like I can tell for sure it would have been helpful to hear from my friends at that point in time, like, hey, I'm also going through this shit. Like, it also feels awful. Like, I also, have these thoughts.
Hmm.
Instead of everyone being like, oh, I'm cool, man. I'm cool. I'm chilling. Let's
No,
go.
I'm good. I'm
I
good.
mean,
Yeah.
Yep.
I had those
Yeah,
No,
conversations.
you good? I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Like,
yeah,
it's. I think it depends on one the type of friends you have, because of course, like you said, it is the environment, like the niche of the coach of Black culture is to kind of bottle up your feelings and not
Hmm.
really express them. Like even my dad, he was like, when I was dark, I was like, man, suck it up, stop. You
Yep.
want to cry? I'm
Yeah.
yeah,
like okay, and then like I thought my mom, she was like, yeah, he's just bullshit. and
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
like, cause I mean, she didn't really say that, but like I knew like I early on, like I had those conversations with my mom, or I open up to her, because my dad would be deployed or whatever, and she would talk to me and tell me and let me know like certain things and certain tropes. Like I had questions about like how they met. Like I asked them like, oh, how'd y'all meet? Blah blah blah. Like, cause like back then, like I didn't really know like about relationships, love, stuff like that. And so like she would tell me, or I ask the other parents on the block, like who I'm really good friends with. So like to me, I guess it's not a I know it's not a normal thing amongst like the Black community to like talk to talk to males and ask them like, hey, how you feeling? Stuff like that.
right.
But like to me, being in a military family, I guess being able to to progress through different cultures
Right.
Yeah, for
throughout
sure.
my life, like
That's
from
true.
being in Egypt, being in Jerusalem, being in
Hmm.
Korea, like I met people from all walks of life, all different parts of life, to
Hmm.
where I didn't know the difference sometimes, but like there were different tropes that I had to pick up, especially when I was in Korea, because it's just different ways of life, and so that's why I was like with the movie, I was like, damn, like I kind of understood what she kind of went through. I haven't gone through it myself, but I'm saying I understand what like going against what the parent, like what you grow up
Parents.
with,
Yeah, for sure.
because like for instance, I know everybody here probably has grown up Christian
In a sense.
in a sense, and so
Say nah, I'm just playing.
Boy,
I
you know you
was
were in
waiting.
that Sunday service.
Chris is the
Crescent,
only
take
one I
your
was
ass
waiting.
to Sunday school.
Chris is the only one I was waiting for, because I know how you answer with that, because I know him and another one of our friends. He doesn't like. Well, he didn't agree with against Christianity is done, and so even though I'd grown up going to church every day or every Sunday or whatever, and learning about God and stuff like that, I grew to believe that I don't have to go to church to believe in God. If I don't go to church, what, I'm gonna go straight to hell for not going to church? And they're like, well, yeah, this is
Some
God.
people would like you to believe
Yeah,
that.
some
I'm
people
like,
definitely
but that goes against everything that the Bible said. Like that's
listen.
contradictory.
I'll tell you
Two or more
what I
people.
have learned about religion. People believe the parts they want, the parts that are convenient for them,
Yeah.
and like they'll
Yeah,
condemn you in a second
God as a
if your way
service.
is different. If you do
Yes.
anything different, got it.
God is
Facts. No bullshit.
I'm done.
So
I'm gonna
I'm
put that
done.
on a
I'm done.
t-shirt.
So,
Oh,
God
just
as
hey,
see
a
no
that,
bull. We
yo.
God plus.
God
God
bless.
is the ultimate web service.
so
Yo,
go
Oh
back to
Jesus. Church
to
was the first
going back
subscription
to
service.
the and I don't know
Lovecraft.
how long we're gonna go on this. No, I'm gonna be the only holdout who never watches that show on
Lovecraft
this.
Country.
Uh, yeah,
Why?
I will
Because
never.
AJ, what you expect? It's AJ. I'm not
I'm a
surprised
natural
by that statement.
contrarian, first of all, and second
Real
of
quick
all,
before we switch subjects, though, real quick
Um,
while we're on Lovecraft, episode 3, where I guess I can't think of the sister's name, but when she basically woke up white because of witchery and voodoo and whatnot.
Is that 3 or 4?
Maybe 4, maybe 4. I think it's 4. Isn't that a fascinating concept? Like my wife and I were watching that, and we were just like, "What would you do if one day you just woke up white?
freak the
Like for
fuck out.
the whole day you were white. Like you just got to do whatever the fuck you wanted
Oh, I'm
because you were
wilding
white,
out. I'm
right?
wilding out.
You said I'm
I'm wilding
what?
out. Like,
We go.
I'm not. I'm not
So
wilding out, but
no, I'm
I
joking.
do imagine that I would just like to see how much less
Talking
I'm
back to
less
everybody.
anxiety I have,
yeah,
as a, just waking up.
Yes.
yeah.
Like,
It's
so I would
Yeah.
just
definitely
like to see what that feels like. So I need more than a day because the first day I'm gonna be freaking out, right? But
yeah.
I
Right.
need to be I need to have some kind of semblance of, oh, this might be permanent, and then give me that time to to rest in it, and then wake up and just not worry about blackness, because like that's the thing that we black people deal with, like even amongst ourselves, like
Yeah.
Hell
blackness
yeah.
is huge, right? Like it's our because it's our only export in America, really. Like it's the only thing that we
Yeah.
even have any kind of influence on. It's so important to us that we end up like using it against each other, which isn't cool. But
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
yeah,
Take your black card.
yeah, the black card. Remember, I remember specifically getting my black card ripped up at FAMU in
Damn.
front of everybody in the
Oh.
school because
several times,
because I had never seen Lean on Me.
several times.
Jesus. All
It
right. We
wasn't
gonna
just lean on. No, no,
we
no.
gonna go back
I
to
want to say this.
Lovecraft.
I
Go
want to
ahead.
say this. It wasn't just lean on me. It was a bunch of movies,
It
Oh
wasn't a
damn.
and
bunch of
so
movies.
So
it was a
JK's
bunch
trying to
of
throw
movies, AJ.
credence
And
around
so
the
so
revocation
I
of
was
said
like,
black
I
card.
told AJ, I was like, AJ, don't say this to anybody.
I'm
I like,
He
I'm
said,
fine
"Don't."
with it. I'm fine with it. We're fine with it here, but don't go outside of this room and
Listen,
say this to
you're
anybody.
okay at this coffee shop, but if you
First of
walk
all,
outside, you're
Right.
fucked.
First of all, they were not okay with it there. That's where I got my card ripped up, right in front of my face, and then
Like I said,
they took the imaginary
AJ,
card and threw it into the
AJ,
imaginary wind.
AJ. Like I said, the first time you told us this was with who? It was me. It was, and I don't think Creston was there. It was me, Ashley, and a couple other people.
Ashley ripped my card up. That's how
And
I
that's
know
what
you're
and that's what I
lying.
told you. And that's what I
No
told you.
safety there.
I said that was your first mistake. You should have never told Ashley.
You,
Because Ashley would have
Jesus.
done it. And
Uh,
that's what I told you. I said, AJ,
I'm
look.
an undercover black woman.
what is going on? You know what? All right. So we're gonna go
I
back
have no
to.
idea what that is.
Oh, I think okay. Well,
Oh,
we'll come
undercover
back.
white
We'll come
woman, but yeah. So, and
Oh,
then
back.
from Tinder friendships, that kind of brings me to, like, my next point. Like, I am, and I mean, probably, some of y'all can relate, but like, I'm a weird nigga. Like, I'm, you know, uh,
That's
Yep.
everybody on
not
this call.
not a, not what most people would consider normal. Like, I have, a certain way I communicate. I'm obsessed with kind of being clear and making sure I'm
Right.
understood and stuff like that. And I'm just different, dog. And so one thing from the show that kind of resonated with me also was like mimicking normalcy to,
Yep.
in order to gain access to like normal people and normal spaces and like feeling normal. And
Hmm.
yeah, and I mean it's whack and fucked up, but
Yeah.
it's one of the themes that I picked up on that I also noticed and resonated with. um
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking Maurice, man. But yeah, no, I feel you on that. I actually talked to my therapist today about that, like how as I think us as black men, especially like in the workforce, like we
Hmm.
have
man.
like this
Yep.
this thread that's just always going, that's like deciphering all the like jabs and like the racist shit and
Yep.
the because white people talk a certain way. Like it's always like they smile at you, but they're insulting you as well. And so it's
At the
like that
same
little
time,
thread. Yeah, like it's always that like that little thread that that you always have to like be aware of that, and especially
Yep.
in the workforce, because it's always like that there's extra eyes and pressure on you, so
Yep.
you just have to like there's always that little like extra thought in your mind of like what are these motherfuckers actually saying? Like they were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I like your shoes today." And it's just like you
That is,
fucking
yep, that is my constant thought. I'm just like, what the fuck do you mean you like my shoes? Like,
And,
yeah, like it's just like
I
and
can't
then
take their compliment for face value. I never can.
so
exactly.
so
So
just for anybody who has joined this podcast and is possibly is white,
Yeah, we
Ain't
got nothing
nobody
and
white.
against
you
you.
man,
and
this
if
is
you
called
feel
the
if you feel
blurred
Dimension.
dimension.
In
if
fact,
you
We
feel
we
offended,
If you didn't
unapologetic
understand what blurred dimension
unapolog
means, it means black nerds.
that's
We
it.
talk about
ex,
our
come out,
black
come out, come
experience.
out, come out. If you
we're
feel offended,
unapologetically black,
if you feel offended, you know, we don't give a
man.
damn. Just
At
educate
all.
yourself about what we mean
Basically,
and learn so you know. So when you go to your other friends who are black, you know something a little bit. You feel me?
yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, buddy, Black. Yeah, that's our theme song. Carl and our theme song for our company that's not formed. Y'all know that song "Black" by Buddy?
No.
Yes,
Yeah,
I've heard it. I've heard it
it's
before.
basically the chorus is literally black, black, black on black, black,
Oh
black.
shit.
My skin so like it's just literally that's the song.
I'm
So,
done.
This
I'm done
man
with
Malik
tacos,
talking about
man.
I'm a
I'm
as a
so
white
done.
woman of color. Yo, I'm done. All
I'm
right. So
done.
and then uh the last I guess these last three bullet points are kind of all related. But what I was thinking about like the imperialism, like our army went to Korea, and I'm just like the shot where they're in the tank like rolling down the street
We're
like
here to
talking
save
about
you.
like from like if she's walking out of the theater having just seen whatever movie, or no, they stopped they stopped the movie at that point, and it's
Yeah.
like it's from what you or what exactly are you saving people from? And then it's like it's interesting to see that how it doesn't just crush the Koreans who they definitely like kill and let people kill because like they're accused of being communists and stuff like that. But like this whole time we're um being introduced to Atticus as a character and as a person, like he's presented as smart and responsible and caring and stuff like that. But it's like in the first half of this episode, or the first is it the second half, whatever. After the army comes, they round
Yeah,
up
but
some of these nurses, and the commanding officer that's standing there questioning people and has already shot one nurse has apparent his clip is empty, and so he calls for a private. Tick comes up, cocks his gun, and just shoots the lady. And it's
Mm.
like just
no
completely
remorse.
stripped him of everything that
That we was that set up previously.
Yeah.
exactly.
It
And
shows you how
so
you have no remorse, no feelings, no nothing. And then it wasn't until he got into the hospital bed he started to show his feelings, started to show his real his real self. It's like war stripped him. It's that meaning of like war when you go to war. And I've seen this in my dad a little bit. I mean, he's still a great man. I still love him.
No, but war changes the person as a
yeah,
whole. Like my
absolutely.
uncle, I
100%.
remember my uncle being like one of the nicest men I've ever met. Like he showed me anime, everything. But when he
Yeah,
came back from the war, he was a different man
yeah,
entirely. Like the
100%.
uncle that I knew was gone,
yeah,
like
And
gone.
but
especially people who's in combat. That's it's
Yep.
yeah.
one thing
Hell yeah.
right.
to
And so
go
that's
to
why
war,
like
but
when my dad
combat.
like
Man.
I had to take it. I was like, damn, because like he wanted me to join the army. I was like, nope.
Not
He's like,
interested. Yeah.
and they
I
were like,
refuse. Yep.
I
It's
remember to this day, like we were in Alabama, and a guy came up. He was in our. He's like, "Oh, you nice and solid, man. You'll be nice on the gunner." I was like, "Nope." I was
good
like,
on that.
Why didn't you want to join the army?" I was like, "One, gunners always get shot first in the head. Two, I do not want to join the army because I know it will change me and it will forever change me, and I don't want to be that. And three, I seen how it does with my dad, and I see what happened to him. He's still a great guy, still, still made it to one of the top He made as a colonel, retired as a colonel. Never got shot, never got killed, or anything like, or never got killed, never got shot or anything like that. And so
he got killed, but he came back. He shook it
he
off.
came
Yeah,
back.
he shook it off. He shook it off.
He was like,
He had took
Cool,
some
cool.
like
he was too
Look,
tough
it's
for
like
death.
it was like Captain America, from the
Yeah,
comics and
yeah.
The Tuskegee experiments, stuff like that. But that's
but
that's still got pay grade. But
but yeah.
anyway,
So
um,
and then that kind of, not to cut you off, but that brings me to
go
like,
ahead.
like your own personal culpability, like in war, like he was like, I was when she came to him and she was like, you killed my friend, and he was like, I was just doing my job, and it's like, but like at this, and it's I guess I'm torn on it because it's like, if he doesn't kill this lady, he's gonna get killed or dishonorably discharged or whatever, and then somebody else is gonna come up and kill her. And so it's not
Yeah.
like he's gonna stop this war machine by not killing this one person, but at the same time, like I feel like we all still know it's fucking wrong. And so you know, I don't know.
Yeah, and
Um,
they were back then. They'd be quick to kill a black person for insubordination.
Yep.
So
you said
that's
So
six.
partially
We were nothing but cannon fodder back then.
Yeah.
us
Well, this
and
particular CO was black, so I don't know if he would have, but
Yeah.
it still would have been consequences.
But I mean, honestly, even worse. I mean, same as with us in the police department now. We have to go above and beyond to avoid our blackness in those situations. Like even in the military, that was a very prominent thing then.
Oh
for
yeah.
yeah,
What were you
me.
saying, Carl?
So I keep going back and forth on like the death penalty, on how I feel about that. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know, for the longest time I've been against it, so I'm still on that
Agreed,
side.
Taco.
But like just looking at that, like when I saw that happen, I wasn't surprised by it. I wasn't taken back by it, and that alone made me feel something. Like the fact that I saw that and I was just like, yeah, that's about right. Like because stretching back to high school and now, let's just say, uh, my mental state has not always been in a positive spot,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't been to war. I've been through a thing or two in life, but I haven't been through war. And if I can get there mentally, thinking certain things, not being in war, and this dude, that's probably not his first kill.
Right.
Certainly not his first person he's seen dying in front of him. Uh, you know,
especially a
it
civilian.
Yeah.
it wasn't shocking to me like I felt like it should have been.
Mhm.
And as imperfect people, even an imperfect jury, casting ultimate judgment like that on a human being, say, hey, you got to go to death. There needs to be a price paid, but I don't think it's that spot that we sentence somebody to death because of whatever.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like it's just too easy to say people are evil, even with folks that the vast majority of people would say, yeah, that's an evil person and they should get all this coming to them. Like, to me, that's like emotional stuff. Again, there's got to be a price paid, but just taking that life, I don't think anybody should be doing any of that.
And
But
it's
yeah,
yeah, I
I
agree. And
agree. I,
it's not that people are good or evil. It's the yeah. I'll say this and then and we'll keep going. It's not saying that people are good or evil. They just do good or evil things. So like nobody's a good person. Nobody's an evil person. They do good or evil things, which shows that which kind of reflects their character in a sense. If that makes sense.
Mm.
I heard what you're
But
saying.
That's always been a hard thing for me. I guess as a human to kind of to take that to understand that concept of good and evil because I've always felt like it's based off of your own morality. Um, but yeah,
yeah,
we can
I
move
mean,
on to
yeah.
happier topics.
we'll be here for another 2 hours.
Yeah. So I mean,
That's
and that
another
kind of
podcast where we get
right.
philosophical.
Yeah. But the my last bullet is kind of philosophical because it's about tying into the last like 2 points, kind of reconciling potentially monstrous parts of yourself with like your humanity, like with Tick and the girl who's killed some arguably some of them had to be not great people. And then Tick has killed some probably people who were considered not who he was told were not good people or who he was told it was for the greater good and shit like
Hmm.
that. And then to like come back or not come back from that, but at the same time be I don't know like falling in love with the best friend of the girl he tortured and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she kind of goes like we we've both done bad things, but we're not the worst thing that we've done.
Right.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
And it's funny too, and it's funny how like in the beginning where she was going through life before the U.S. troops showed up, there wasn't people killing like hanging people in the streets, or it wasn't like people ostracizing themselves because they're communists or anything, or trying to hide themselves because they were thinking they weren't communists, but they had thoughts about like what if we did this a different way, and that was dangerous to people. So when the U.S. came in and they were hunting down communists and saying that, oh well, these communists are, because they never really found out if there was any leaks or anything. They just said, oh, there's a communist in our post, and we take them out or whatever. So I find it funny, like that whole as the U.S. came in, that whole wave of like prejudice um what's the word I'm looking for? Not racism, but uh prejudice and I can't think of the word. Anyway,
It's all good.
but yeah, but
Get your
yeah,
point.
I found it funny that like you know, like you said, imperialism. Like on top of that, imperialism becomes prejudice, comes a whole bunch of stuff that's wrong with our country now, and it comes into a society where it's actually peaceful and like nothing's going on, and everybody's friendly with each other and stuff like that. Then we bring our own quote unquote problems and evil to that country, and it just spreads like wildfire. So like
Yeah,
I find that interesting too. So
extremely.
I
All right. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Carl. You got one that?
no, yeah, just a couple of things. So I I don't think I don't think you could establish a society based on morality. Um, so like everybody has their own, right? Everybody has their own,
All right. So hold
and
up. We're gonna have to put a pin in
good,
that, Carl, because that's about to
yeah,
become a whole conversation. Not because to like like I said in the chat, I feel like there's some stuff that's kind of universal, like hurting like innocent people, hurting children, hurt like I we gonna have a whole other podcast if we start
yeah,
talking about that.
yeah,
Um,
if we have
yeah.
time, we can
but
come
did
back.
you have like not like I said I don't want to like cut you off. Did you have something real quick though that maybe I won't talk for like another half hour about?
I'll throw this out there. It could probably go for that. It's just a throw out. I'll just say like ideas. So like communism,
Killing is good.
democracy, all of that stuff. Ideas are to me violent things, right? They can't just stay in the area. They must spread like a disease or a virus. They're fighting for survival. There's an evolution to ideas themselves, and so uh, imperialism, democracy, communism, I think is just a reflection of that. And
Mm,
wars will continue to happen because ideas are trying to reproduce, they're trying to survive. So, anyway,
I hear what you said. I don't know if well I mean we can definitely talk about it. We should
see, that's
probably
what I'm saying. That's a spirited debate that could be had on that. Yeah.
word. All right, so we gonna